Baseball fans, it is time once again for another episode of Planes, Trains, Buses, and Ballparks. With over 50 years in professional baseball and making a multitude of fantastic relationships along the way, Frank Coppenbarger shares great stories with weekly guests from various areas inside of the game. Let's get ready to play ball. Here's Frank Coppenbarger.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Planes, Trains, Buses, and Ballparks. And boy, do we have a special one today. The great Dale Murphy, one of the all-time great people that I ever had the pleasure of meeting and working with in the game of baseball, is our guest. And Murph, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Frank. Thanks for that nice intro. And it's great to be on with you. Thank you. Congratulations on your podcast. And thanks for having me on. I know you've been really patient in trying to get my schedule and trying to get me. So looking forward to it. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you for joining us. You're a busy man. You're hard to track down.
I got all those kids. Like, you remember how many kids
You do, and only Phil Sheridan, the clubhouse manager, has more than you. And trust me, he has 9 now. Phil, that used to work with me in the Phillies clubhouse, is now in charge of the home clubhouse, and he has 9. And more than once, your name came into the conversation. I'm like, hey, you're starting to give Murph a run for his money. Well, hey, he passed you up.
well, I'll tell you, Frank. Now this will make all of us. Well, I'm old. In case you didn't realize that, Frank.
Well, we're the same age, buddy.
But I just turned 70 in March, and we have 23 grandkids.
Oh my goodness!
So
wow.
So tell Phil to let me know in a few years. I probably won't be around then, but congratulations on number 9. That's crazy, but that's cool. Give him my best.
Unbelievable. Will do. So Dale Murphy, 15 full years and parts of 3 others in the big leagues. There's so much to cover about your wonderful career. We're only going to be able to dabble in it a little bit today, but let's get started with it. So I got to say, we first met in 1990 when you got traded to the Phillies from the Braves, and I know for one, I was pretty excited about that. You were such a great player and a great person. I heard you were a great person, but I actually got to find out for myself and have you in the clubhouse every day for a couple of years, and it was a real pleasure to have you. But even though the Phillies weren't so good when you came over there, it was exciting to have a player of your stature on the team. You know, Schmitty retired in '89, and then we went through a whole bunch of guys. A lot of when teams don't do very well, there's always a lot of player moves.
Yeah.
And then when you came to Philadelphia, it was a little jolt. It was pretty cool to get you, and a lot of fun having you. Talk about when you first came over there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Frank. Okay. Yeah. And you know, I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but people ask me all the time, you know, how did that happen? And I'll briefly touch on the main points. 88, 89. I kind of 87 was good. 88 so. 89 wasn't too good, and we were doing that well in Atlanta. 90 kind of started the same way. And you know, Nancy and I, we had talked about it, and we had seen that longtime players with certain organizations, you know, it gets kind of tricky at the, you know, when they start getting older. We saw what happened to Phil Niekro.
Right.
Phil, people don't maybe realize it, Phil actually got released by the Braves. I mean, you know, then he went out to win 300 games with, I can't remember all where he was, maybe Cleveland, Toronto, well, Yankees. Yeah. But anyway, we knew it was going to starting to get tricky. The Braves were going younger. David Justice was coming up. And Nancy and I talked about it. We said, we made a decision that in '91 we would leave and be a free agent. So I went to Bobby Cox, who was GM and manager at that time and general manager. I said, Bobby, I know this is a hard conversation and it's going to be hard for me and Nancy, but it's time. I think it's time to move on. And I said, talk to some other teams. If there's something that comes up, Nancy and I will look at it. And so Bobby got back to us and my agent, he said, Philly would like to, pursue a trade. Do you mind, since I was a 10-5 guy, and I had the
You
right
had
to
all the
veto it.
rights, yeah.
Right. He says, what do you think? And I go, well, let's talk to him and see what's up. And Lee Thomas was very interested. He offered to extend my contract. Lee Thomas, the GM then, extend my contract a couple of years. And Nance and I looked at each other and said, well, I could be a free agent next year, not knowing what's going to happen, or I could go to Philadelphia. It's definitely different than Atlanta, Nance.
Way different.
Yeah. And I played obviously as a visiting player there, Frank, and there was some electricity there. I kind of liked the direction of the team in Philly, and I needed a jolt. And boy, did I get one.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
Frank, so
we'll get that.
one of the
Go
first
ahead.
person, well, he wasn't there my first day, but Schmitty was there in the clubhouse. Might have been my first day there. And we just said hi to each other. He said, this is really weird.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I had had both of you at the same time. That'd been awesome.
Oh, that would have been so fun. I love playing against Mike and um and just really appreciate, he's always really kind to me as a young player, and he always shared some ideas. I got to play with him for a couple of All-Star games. And I got to tell you this one story. I was struggling, and I kind of struggled in Philly a little bit. I started, long story, I started, I had a few injuries. I missed most of '92 there in Philly. But anyway, what I was going to say was during the off season, I get a package from Schmitty, and I have it somewhere here. One of these days, I'm going to find it. And it's a videotape. It's a videotape. He goes, hey, Murph, I know you're kind of struggling. Here's some ideas. I hope it helps. And he was on the video showing me.
Really?
Yes. And I thought, this is incredible. And so I love Schmitty, and it would have been fun to be on the same team. But anyway, what's funny, Frank, is now when I talk to Braves, remember back then we weren't rivals.
No, you're right. You're right. Well, the Braves struggled for quite a long time. Unfortunately, you were born at the wrong period. 10 years later, you'd have been a champ every year, but it just wasn't to be. But we'll get to some of your Braves highlights here in a second. But you're right. We weren't really rivals then, and then now, and back even in starting in '93, it became a huge rivalry.
Yeah. So people now, I talk to them, they get really mad at me, and I go, you weren't this mad back 30 years ago. They go, now, but now I don't like the Phillies.
I don't know how anybody can get mad at Dale Murphy, first of all, but that's nearly impossible. But let's back up a little bit more. You were born and raised in Portland, Oregon, and you went to school there, grew up there. Selected by the Braves in the first round, the 5th pick overall of the '74 draft, right out of high school. You turned down an opportunity to go to Arizona State, which was not only a great school, but a great baseball school.
Yeah.
But the opportunity to be a first-round pick and sign and start your pro career, you ended up doing that. You were primarily a catcher in high school. And started out your career as a catcher. You advanced quickly through the Braves system and made your made your big league debut in September of '76. Just a little over 2 years after you were drafted. What do you remember about your first game?
Oh, wow. I got to back up a little bit, Frank, here for a
Okay.
second. I had, okay, prior to the draft, and as everybody knows, this was all pre-computer and pre-information. We didn't know what was going on, especially, I'm all the way a high school kid in Portland, Oregon. But I had one pre-draft workout for a team in their stadium. And guess which team it was?
Philadelphia.
Absolutely.
Had
I
no
flew,
idea.
yeah, my
But
dad and I flew
Philadelphia.
out there a week before the draft. They had about 6 of us. And so they said, okay, let's take some BP. And they go grab a bat out of the bat rack. It's about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon before everybody's taking BP. And I think I picked up Luzinski's bat.
Like a telephone pole, probably.
So, but I had one workout. I took a little BP, threw a little bit as a catcher, and then they wanted to time us in the 60. And so they measured out 60 yards, and they go, okay, first two guys, let's run together. First two guys, Murphy and Willie Wilson.
Oh my goodness.
So, so I was like, Willie Wilson, world class sprinter. But if you'll remember, Frank, the Phillies took Lonnie Smith ahead of me,
Yeah. Yeah.
and a great guy. Loved to play with him. At the end of my career, got to play with him in Atlanta for a couple of years. But anyway, my first call up was September '76 against Rick Rhoden and the Dodgers, and I specifically remember taking the first pitch and then saying to myself, I could have hit that thing.
Choose one.
Yeah. And I think I got a little infield hit my first AB, and then I got another hit later on in the game. But Dave
See, all
Bristol,
that running against Willie Wilson, that your speed improved and you got an infield hit.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's awesome.
And manager with Philadelphia Connections, my manager at that time was Dave Bristol.
All right.
And so Dave was there when I got called up, and I was just normal, just like, I mean, I was scared to death. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just saying to myself, go up there and if I can see it, swing at it,
Hey,
and it was fun. I saw a lot of Dodger games growing up in Portland, Oregon, so it was fun to be
was it
there.
at Dodger Stadium?
Yeah, it was at Dodger Stadium.
Oh, that's
So
great.
it was
That's awesome.
it was cool. I think we lost that day, but got that first one out of my system. Dave Bristol was great, and so that's how it got going. And I was catching at that time too.
Yeah. So you went back to Richmond for most of '77, but called back up in September. And then they moved you to first base, and you were back in Atlanta at that point.
Right.
And by '80, you were an everyday outfielder, starting off on the corners and before long, center field. So pretty amazing. You made your first All-Star team in 1980. What do you remember about that?
Oh, that was crazy. First of all, Bobby Cox hung in there with me, moved me to first base after catching didn't go so well. And I started to hit a few home runs, and I didn't play very well at first base. And he called me in the winter of '79-'80. He said, Murph, what about the outfield? I said, do I have a choice? He's like, well, not really. We're kind of running out of positions. But he moved me there in 1980, and it just changed my life, my career. And my first All-Star game was back in Dodger Stadium that year. I mean, it was, I don't know how to describe it. I do remember, I think Ray Knight was on that team. That might have been his first All-Star game. He was with Cincinnati. And we were walking out to the dugout. Of course, I'll never forget this. Walking out to the dugout, and Pete Rose walks by us, and he goes, "Hey, if you guys get in today, back then you weren't guaranteed that you were going to get in at bat.
Right.
But I'll never forget what he said. He said, if you guys get in today, uh, make sure you understand that this is just like a regular season game. Make sure you're playing hard and don't ease up just because it's an all-star game. Of course, I was in high school when he ran over Ray Fosse, and
Right.
I was like, man, Ray Knight and I looked at each other and said, okay, game
Yes.
on. So, Pete Rose gave us a little pep talk. It was cool.
That's back when the league presidents used to come in
Yeah.
before the game, give a pep talk, and I think there was probably dinner or maybe even more bet on those games between each other, and
You're,
they took it seriously,
you're
no
exactly
doubt.
right. It's still a great exhibition game. It's always been an exhibition game, obviously, but when you don't have interleague play and you only see these guys in the World Series or spring training,
All right.
it just was different. Just was different.
Absolutely. Well, hey, you took to that outfield work pretty good, my friend. By 82, you're a gold glover, and you won 5 straight gold gloves playing center field. Pretty incredible. The Braves were also very incredible in 82, won the National League West. I can't say that I'm upset that you lost to the Cardinals because I was working for the Cardinals in 1982.
Were
So
you really?
uh, yeah, I was there for 8 years. You probably didn't even know that.
I
I
didn't
was
know
an
that.
assistant in the home side, and the guy you mentioned, Lee Thomas, was our farm director. And
Oh
then he got
yeah.
the Philly job, and he brought some people with him, and I was one of them. So
Wow. That's
I
awesome.
he brought a lot. I just happened to last so long.
That's
But
awesome. That's
anyway,
that's great. That's great.
yeah. Unfortunately, that was your only postseason, as it turns out, in your marvelous career. But 82, not only Gold Glove, most valuable player, the first of two in a row, 82 and 83. Everybody that knew anything about baseball knew who Dale Murphy was. No doubt about it.
Well, thank you, Frank. Most guys would say you do your best when the team's doing well, and we had a couple good years that year. Um, and like I said, Bobby moved me to the outfield, and it just changed my whole perspective, my confidence. And 82, 83, those early 80s, I just fell into my rhythm, and I just was really confident. The team was doing well, and that's great memories.
Awesome. So 2 straight MVPs. One other great notable thing. There's so many things we could talk about from your great run, but 81 through 86, you played in 740 consecutive games, which right now is the sixth longest streak in history. You just don't see guys doing that anymore, and congrats on that too. That is so cool, and
Thank you.
just a sign that the health was holding up for you in those days. That period of your life, you were healthy and able to go out there and post up
Yeah,
every day.
yeah.
So anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Yep. Oh, sorry, Frank. Yeah, I was healthy. I was playing well. Uh, interestingly enough, I ended my streak there in Philly. I was just I can't remember if it was 88 or 89, but yeah, I really needed I was not hitting well, and I took a day off there in Philly.
Well, not the worst thing. Everybody needs one once in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I tell you what, you didn't take too many days off. I remember you from the Cardinal dugout and the Philly dugout, and you were always doing a lot of damage. You held a slew of Braves team records until a guy named Chipper Jones came around, and
Yep.
unfortunately, he got the eraser out and knocked you out of the record books down there. But man, what a career! As we
Thank you.
said earlier, August of '90 traded to the Phillies, along with Tommy Green for pitchers Jeff Parrott and outfielder Jim Vatcher and infielder Victor Rosario. I remember all three of those
Yep.
guys.
Yeah.
And so it had to be tough, though, even after all those years, and you saw the handwriting on the wall. Still, just to go to another team and putting on the Philly uniform the first day had to be kind of strange, I would think.
Oh man. It's hard to put into words how strange it was, and very emotional and all those kind of things. And Nance, I don't think Nance had got there yet. I talked to her on the phone afterwards. She was like, "Well, how you doing?" I go, "Oh, it was fine, but those red shoes, I kept looking down at my shoes. I think I think they were black from Atlanta, but I think you painted them red." And
Probably the first day or
yeah,
two, yeah.
yeah, for till Nike sent me some red shoes, but
Right.
it was really weird. But really, uh, I haven't talked to a guy, Frank. Uh, you probably still working. In fact, we had alumni weekend in Atlanta. Wes Helms, remember Wes?
Yeah, yeah, I had him. Sure.
Yeah. I'm talking to anybody that didn't enjoy their time in Philadelphia, and the clubhouse staff, the players, of course, better than I do. The players had this crazy reputation, probably. Okay,
Yeah,
let's be honest, Frank. Well deserved. But
absolutely.
but I don't know. I felt really comfortable there really quickly. It's fun
Good.
to play there. It's electric. And in '90, yeah, weren't drawing a bunch, but man, the fans, and I know the fans, everybody asks me what it's like fans. I just say, well, they're very honest. They'll let you know how they feel. Uh, but I had a great experience there. Nancy and I both. I didn't do much there. I started getting hurt. Didn't really contribute, but you can see that team coming together, Frank. Remember, right? You guys went to the World Series in '93.
Yeah.
And I just, Frank, the best way to say it is the way I was received. I felt very comfortable really quickly. I love the
Good.
organization and thankful I got to be there for a couple years. And of course, you and your staff. It was just great. Hey, remember the pitching coach when I came over to
Daryl
Philly
Knowles.
was Knowles.
Daryl. Yeah.
Who was it?
Daryl Knowles. Daryl
Yes.
Knowles.
Yes. He came up to me and, I wasn't even thinking. He goes, "Hey, I'm wearing number 3, but I think you should have it." And
Yeah.
so, I don't know. As weird as it was, after all those years in Atlanta, I felt good, and I loved playing there. I just wish I'd have contributed a little bit more. And but the guys, the organization, I have very fond memories. I still get invited back, Frank, to a lot of stuff whenever they have alumni day. And I didn't make the All-Star game there this year, but what a show Philly put on.
They did.
And so it really was. I don't know how else to say it except I had a great experience. I really did, getting to know guys. And, I still talk to Crucky every once in a while. So it's all good.
Well, I want to tell you a little bit more about that Daryl Knowles guy. He's one of my best friends, and we see each other quite often down in Florida, where
Really?
we're fortunate enough to have a home. In fact, I'm talking to you from there today, actually.
That's
But
cool. Well, you
Knowles,
tell him hi for me and thank you for giving me that number 3.
well, I don't think he had much choice. I went to him when I found out we were getting you, and this is exactly how that conversation went. I went, Nosey, we're getting Dale Murphy. You know that means you're going to have to give up number 3. And he said, oh, yeah, absolutely. I
Oh, that's
go,
cool.
what number do you want? He goes, I don't care what my number is. I said, okay, I got an idea. How about 33? He goes, that's fine. So we switched him to 33, and he goes, how come 33? I said, it'll be a lot easier to mark all your stuff this way. I'll just put another 3 next to the one that's
Yeah,
already
yeah.
on there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. He's
You
one
tell
of
him
the
hi
best.
for me when you see him.
I certainly will. So I want to talk about a couple things that happened when you were in Philly, though. I want to talk about the game in '91 when the Phillies are playing the Braves, and there was a little bad blood going on in the game, and they hit a couple of our guys or the Braves guys, so the Braves had to retaliate. And of course, as the script would have it, the first guy up in the inning that things are supposed to be squared up is Dale Murphy, an absolute living legend in Atlanta Brave history. He comes up to bat. Tom Glavine, who was only like in his second or third year in the big leagues at that point, is on the mound. And I read that he actually asked Bobby Cox if he could hit the next guy up, not you, because he didn't want to hit you because you're such a great guy. And Cox wouldn't have it. He goes, nope, he's got to go down. So I'll never forget because I was watching from the dugout and he threw 4 pitches, each one a little slower. I think by the last pitch, you could have reached out and caught it barehanded and thrown it back to him. And they were all inside, a little closer, a little closer. And finally, Bob Davidson just had to eject him from the game on his 30-mile-an-hour fastball that he was knocking you down with. What do you
Oh,
remember about all that?
it was the most awkward situation because I had an ink. So Bobby doesn't. Bobby and I obviously changed my career. I played for him as a rookie. I mean, he was there at
Right.
the beginning, got me. I mean, I love Bobby Cox. Everybody does that plays for him, but when you're not playing for Bobby, he doesn't really care about you anymore. He's like, these are my
It's all
guys. Yeah,
about the
and
wins. Right.
Glav looked at the lineup and he goes, Bobby, the next guy up is Murph. You want me to throw it, Murph? And Bobby's like, yeah, I don't care who it is. And
Right.
so, yeah, you can go on YouTube and watch it. I think by the 4th time, I was so far out of the batter's box, uh,
Yeah.
and it was so. I've seen Glav every once in a while, and he's like, the Braves fans were mad because I was thrown at you, and all my teammates were mad because I didn't hit you.
Yeah. I remember reading that he said, hey, I got to live in Atlanta. I'm not hitting Dale Murphy.
It was
Oh,
just one of those weird
that was weird.
coincidences, and you're right, things had to get even, and um, it was. I'll share one quick story. I think it was 90. So that what was that, Frank? 91.
Yeah. 91.
So the next year, um, Crucky told me this that Leo Mazzoni told him, "Hey, Crucky, we're going to get Roger McDowell for because he hit Otis
Right.
because he says we don't really think this is even and and Crucky goes, well, whatever, he's relief pitcher. Good luck with that. Well, in '92, Roger gets traded to the Dodgers at the trade deadline. The Braves are playing the Dodgers, and they go into extra innings. Dodgers don't have any more hitters, and here comes Roger.
Kinda hit.
Roger comes up. Roger comes up to hit. Marvin Freeman's on the mound for the
Yeah.
Braves, and Marvin looks in and sees Roger, and he's like, "Well, I got to hit him." So he hits Roger. Roger gets up and walks toward the mound and yells out at Marvin. He goes, "Hey, are we even?" And and Marvin goes, "Yeah, we're even." And Roger says, "Okay," and then it was over.
That's funny. Then, of course, Roger becomes a pitching coach in Atlanta,
Yeah,
which just shows how strange this game really is.
yeah. Bobby loved Roger too, his pitching coach. He loved him.
So now you remain with the Phillies, and at the end of spring in '93, they let you go, and you sign immediately with the Rockies. I kind of remember, Murph. We were in Oklahoma City
Yeah.
playing a couple games,
Yep.
and against the St. Louis Cardinals when that all happened, and then you ended up going right to Colorado. But by then your knees was shot, and you were having a lot of health issues. It was pretty tough for you to get out there. But you played for the Rockies for a few weeks before you retired. One thing you did have was an RBI single. I didn't realize this in the very first Rockies win in their history. Pretty cool.
Well, it was another situation where, yeah, uh, I was getting released. I wasn't all that healthy, but the Rockies, again called the Phillies and said, "Hey, we'll take Murph.
Right?
Let's work this out and just see." Since it was their inaugural year,
Of course.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and so they were looking for some names and some players, but I wasn't healthy and didn't do that well, and retired. I think it was May, but I got to play for Don Baylor, and
Yeah.
again, it was a good experience, but I knew things were winding down, and they needed to bring some new players up, and so it's kind of a mutual thing. One little anecdote from then is I called my agent and I said, "Hey, uh, they're going to release me, but I think I'll just retire." My agent said, "Wait." He said, "What'd you tell him?" I said, "I told him I'm going to retire." They go, "Dale." My agent goes, "Dale, if they release you, you
You got
get
to
the
hurry.
rest of your contract, and but if you voluntarily retire, you don't get the rest of your contract." And I said, "Well, I had no idea. I wasn't even thinking." So my agent called. I think it was Bob Gebhardt, the GM,
Yeah. Yeah.
and explained the situation. And he said, "Let Murph retire. We're going to pay him the rest of the year anyway." So that
Oh,
was
that's
pretty
good.
cool. That was pretty cool.
That's good. Well, I read all about that base hit you got, and it happened to be on my birthday, April the 9th. So,
Really?
yeah,
Nice.
thanks for the birthday gift. Anyway, you did some radio and TV work after you retired, and I said, good, pretty cool story. I love telling this story. So one day you're in Philadelphia. The late great Hall of Famer Roy Halladay is a pitcher for the Phillies. I don't know if you're going to remember this story or not.
Yeah.
And he comes to me during the game. They showed you in the booth, and he goes, "Hey, do you know Dale Murphy?" And I go, "Yeah, I had him for a couple years." He goes, "That was my favorite player when I was young." He goes, "Is there any chance I could meet him?" I said, "Well, I'll do my best." And I sent you a text and asked if you could come down and meet Roy Halladay for a minute after the game. And you wrote back and said, "Well, I'm running to catch a flight, and this game has lasted forever, but I'll do my best." And next thing you know, the game ends. You come through the front door, and I run and get Halliday and bring him in my office. You remember that?
Absolutely.
He
Absolutely.
comes in there, and
Yeah.
then the next thing he leaves and runs and gets his cell phone so I can take a picture of the two of you.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. And to think here's this pitcher, it's the best pitcher in baseball at the time,
Yeah.
and he had his heroes too. And he told me later, he goes, "I had a picture of Dale Murphy on my wall when I was a kid growing up," and I'm like, "This is really cool, man. What a story. I'll never forget that story. That was really great."
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you helping us get together there because it is sad when I heard the news about him passing and being in that accident. And
Yeah.
boy, he was, man, what a pitcher. I mean, what a pitcher and good guy. I'm really thankful for that day. Yes, no question about it. I'll never forget meeting Roy Halladay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was a big thrill for him. I witnessed it firsthand, so it happened right in my office. I thought that was pretty cool.
That
Well,
was.
we can't talk about all the awards and honors you've won. It'd take two shows to do that. But I'm going to mention a few. 7-time All Star, 2-time NL MVP, 5 straight Gold Gloves, 4-time Silver Slugger Award. Murph, where do you keep all these trophies, man? Braves
Well,
Hall of Fame, number
I
three, retired by the Braves. It goes on and on.
well, Nancy and I are, it's time we got all these things organized. So I got a bunch of stuff and some boxes. I got a couple things out, but I got a lot of memorabilia. Just stuff. I wish I'd have collected more bats and autographed baseballs from other players, but I got some of my stuff. I saw an old Philly uniform in there the other day. Uh, I think, hey Frank. I think I was there the year they changed uh, from a little maroon to a
Maroon,
little bit of a
maroon to
red with a
red.
star.
That's right. You're
I
right.
think, yeah, I think I
That
was the
was
year
on
that,
that was on opening day, and in fact, we went out for BP in the maroon and started the game in the red.
yeah,
We came in
yeah,
and changed. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Good
And I got,
memory.
a couple of those. I even found, and I've been looking for this. We did a throwback, but I don't remember the year, but it just says Phil's
Yep.
right
There.
across here. And I didn't know if I kept one of those jerseys. I should have got them out. I don't know where they are, but um, we did a throwback uniform there, and might have
I
done that a
remember that.
couple times. But
We did.
uh, I got some stuff. I got to go through it, Frank, and get it organized. I got a few red Nikes in there too.
You're going to need a building for all your stuff, Murph. Well, here, how about a little sample of the kind of guy he is? The Roberto Clemente Award, the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame, the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame, the Lou Gehrig Award, Sportsman of the Year, Bart Giamatti Community Service, and this is my favorite one, World Sports Humanitarian Hall of Fame. Now, if you know Dale Murphy, there had to be a little visual of Dale Murphy in your head when you were thinking about who should be in our Hall of Fame. You're perfect for that.
Well, thank you, Frank. Those are, you know, uh, I think about my mom and dad who set a great example for me growing up. I think about the players like Phil Necro I got to play with who set a good example to me, be involved in your community, and Nancy, of course, holding the fort down at home, giving me a opportunity to be out there and do things I love, and you know, as far as the Hall of Fame is concerned, I'll be eligible again in 3 years as part of the Heirs Committee. So, uh, the
Fingers crossed, Murph. We're always
yeah,
hoping for that.
thank you,
We're always hoping for that, and I think it's going to happen one day. I really do.
thank you,
Hopefully
Frank.
sooner rather than later, because you certainly deserve it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and we'll see what happens. I got a lot of people very supportive, and it'd be unreal.
Well, that'd definitely be the icing on the cake of a great career. Now you got 8 kids, 23 grandkids. One of your sons played some NFL football, correct?
Yeah, Sean got drafted in 2008 by the Dolphins, and then actually Jake was with Denver and Cincinnati practice squads for a couple of years, and then
So two of them. Wow.
yeah, and then I had another son, McKay, went to camp. Actually, the year the Rams won the Super Bowl, he was in camp with them, and he had a couple guys ahead of him, Aaron Donald and Dominican Sue. So
Well, they're pretty
yeah, but yeah, I ended up with three big boys that
good.
love
Yeah, you did.
football, and the other kids they all love all kinds of different things. I had one play baseball into college. Taylor, he got hurt, and but they all grew up loving baseball, but man, the big boys love that football.
Wow. There was some wrestling matches for food and that
Yeah,
extra gallon of milk on the table.
yeah, absolutely.
Nancy must have had to bring it in by the truckload, I think, for that group.
Oh, I can't even remember the stats. Few dozen, I don't know how many dozen eggs and how many gallons of milk a week.
Like a restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well, Murph, this has been so much fun catching up with you. I can't thank you enough for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. And again, rooting for you always for that Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, buddy.
Well, thank you, Frank, and I just thank you for that. Thank you for having me on today. And I think what's really interesting when I think about um, your role as managing the clubhouse, and it's just I look back at you, of course, John Holland, Bill Acree over with Atlanta, and I just think it's a real interesting relationship that the players have with the clubhouse staff, because you kind of set the tone, you keep things organized, you got to be on top of things so much with all of the different personalities. You got to keep all the tasty cakes, right? When I got to Philly, I had so many. I mean, I couldn't stop eating those tasty cakes. No, but
They
psychologically,
don't
it's fun to
they
have
don't
some.
allow that anymore.
I know. Tasty cakes is what powered my career in Philadelphia. Um, uh, what was I going to say? But it's interesting to have someone there who's not a player, but you have an everyday relationship with. You can be a sounding board. You can be a psychiatrist. Guys can come to you and just on a personal thing, not related to baseball. And you did such a great job and making me feel comfortable, and just that relationship is really interesting, I think, and I feel, and I appreciate the relationship you and I had there for a couple of years, because it's really important. Every player's all stressed out every day, and it's just you kind of set the tone for feeling comfortable being there every day and amidst the stress. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that, and appreciate you, and being able to play for the Phillies and having you in that clubhouse there really made a difference, Frank. Thank you so much.
Well, Murph, thanks for the kind words. And hey, I got to tell you, you were like one of the few normal guys in that room. I appreciated you maybe even more. We had some doozies in there, buddy,
Yeah,
but I
yeah, we
appreciate
did.
it. We
Yeah,
did, but that's what makes it fun. So
yeah.
anyway, thanks a million. Everyone, please like, follow, and subscribe to our show. As always, we're available on the Believe Podcast Network and all the major podcast sites. And we're also available on sports videos on SI, like Sports Illustrated, on YouTube, on their YouTube channel. And we'll see you again next week with another exciting guest.